Hey, hello, and welcome or welcome back. And this is the next part, I believe, part five in the Diablo-like game series. And it's basically Combat 1.1, because part four was Combat 1.0. In the last one, we were creating combat for the player and interactions with the enemies. And in this one, we're concentrating on the enemy fighting back. And not only fighting back, but I've incorporated a resurrection type feature for the enemy. And like in Diablo 2, if you don't know that game, like the imps that these goblins are supposed to kind of represent, uh, sometimes have a shaman that resurrects them from the dead um, while he's around and close enough. And that's something I would like to implement. So that's what I did. But since I don't have a shaman yet, or for this, you don't want to call it a shaman. I don't want to, get sued or anything. But we could call it like a goblin mage or a goblin priest or something that does the resurrecting. But since I don't have him yet, um, what I do is I kill the goblin, and then after 10 seconds, he just resurrects himself, which is pretty cool. So we're going to be doing that. And yeah, let's just go check it out. Right now, he's over there, and I'm over here. So he's not paying any attention to me. I'm not close enough. But once I get close enough, he's going to come running after me. And when he gets close enough to attack, he's going to attack. Right? Now, I've changed the player's attack stuff a little because I want there to be a chance for enemies and players, the player, to miss while attacking. Okay, that's a classic, Diablo-like kind of feature, and really it's good because when you're attacking the enemy, basically the enemy does a kind of hit impact animation when you hit them, which stops their attack animation. Henceforth, stops you from taking damage from their attack. All right, because they deal damage just like you do. They do it through an animation event in their attack animation. All right. So when the animation gets to the point where the weapon is kind of down in front of them, like it would hit you, is when I do that check for the hit. All right. And I do it on the player and the enemy now. And I'll show you that. But yeah, if you can interrupt that attack before their animation gets to that point, once you hit them, it automatically makes them play the hit impact animation. And I don't know if I'm recording this or not, actually. Yes, I am. Okay, so yeah, I instituted the chance to miss because if I didn't, then the player would just always override the enemy's attacks and never take damage. So let's check that out. We're gonna get close enough for him to see me and come out. Oh, now he's coming after me. Now I could just keep running, and once I get to a further distance, he'll stop. But once I get close enough again, he's going to come after me. Now, I can let him start attacking. See, now I'm going to start taking damage because he's getting away with that function that's being set off by the animation event. So, let's. That was a hit. That was a miss. That was a miss. Hit. Hit. And I got him. Okay. Now, I've also instituted a chance for them to drop health potions. Okay. And there's that resurrection effect, which is really cool in the sound. But since I'm low health and you need to drop a potion, let's just kill him. Good dead. And he still didn't drop a potion. The potion, it's a chance. He has a chance to drop a potion, and I'll show you that too when we get into it. But we're gonna keep killing him until there it is. There's a potion. Okay, now you gotta get close enough, and then you can click to use it. And as you can see, it regained my health. Oh, and now he's alive again. So let's attack again normally. See, that's a miss. Hit. Hit. So see, you have a chance to miss, which is just like Diablo. And if you do, his attack does not get interrupted and he causes damage. Misses in a row there. Miss, 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 hit, and you're dead. And now I can click this potion and regain my health. So, yeah, the potion I made real quick in Blender, but it came out really good actually. Most resources I've been using, I've just gotten from either the asset store or Mixamo or just offline. But because the potion is so simple, you know, because the potion was so simple to make, I just made one real quick in Blender. It came out really good. So yeah, we're gonna go over that. We're gonna go over him attacking, and I've still got to give him the chance to miss too, because he'll hit every time. But she doesn't perform reaction animation or anything yet. Like I said, I've been working on him. Potion. So yeah, let's get into this. And also, I know the last videos when there's been movement, like the player's been running around, it could get real blurry and patchy and stuff. So I upped my bit rate in OBS from 3,500 to I think 18,000. So this video should be better quality than the previous ones. All right. And why don't we start by, I'll show you that health potion real quick. Drop one on the ground over here. Health potion. Wow, why is that so big? Oh, you know why? Because I took it out of the models. Let's get rid of that. I need the prefab because I scaled it down. There we go, and do minus 90. Okay, so that's the health potion. As you can see, it's got like a red material inside. The very top is kind of like glass, where right before the potion amount ends, and then you've got that dark kind of cork in the top. So, I mean, it came out really good. It's got that real nice specular on it, and yeah, the materials on it and the materials I put on it in Blender, so they're not materials I made in Unity or anything. And if we look at that, it's got a collider, so you can click on it. I just gave it a basic box collider. Okay, and I made it a little bigger than the potion, so it's easier to click on. And it has a script, okay, which has a pickup range, so you have to be at least within 3 units to be able to click on it and pick it up and use it. And then a healing amount, which is 25. So, and if we look at the player, even though this is not the one that gets loaded in. I'm pretty sure. Oh, it would be on the canvas, so that's good. The health, yeah. So yeah, max health is 25. So this will completely fill your health even if you're down to almost nothing. And on the goblin, he has a spot now for the health potion prefab, which I dragged in from my prefabs folder. Okay, so he can drop it. And when he drops it, it actually drops at the right rotation because of code. And yeah, so you got the pickup range, you got the heal amount. The goblin has a chance to drop now. Okay, and because of the way I coded it in, it acts like a slider. So I think it was at like 4.4 or something. So it's just under half chance to drop a potion. But if we put it all the way up, let's get rid of this one. If we put it all the way up, he'll drop one every time. So let's do it again real quick. All right, so get a little closer. Oh, and you notice Unity isn't fucking my material over here like it did in the previous one. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for that. And I'll just fight you. Nice, and there it is. Because we set it all the way up to 1, so it's not even a chance anymore. He'll drop it every time. But so let's say if we, drop that chance down to 0, you'll never get one. So I think somewhere just below half is good, especially if you're taking damage. So let's say even like 0.4. And let's see if we get one off the first kill. Dead. And we got one. So even with 0.4 chance, we got one. So that's good. So yeah, let's check out some of this stuff. All right. So the enemy AI script, which is on the Goblin, we now have the serialized field private game object health potion prefab, which I showed you. And I showed you that I dragged it in from my prefabs folder into the slot in the inspector. Then we have the serialized field here, range 0 to 1, private float, drop chance. And this is what makes it like the slider. It's coding it like this. And I defaulted the drop chance here to 0.5, but it doesn't matter because the inspector overrides whatever that is. So you can just set it in the inspector. He's got a detection radius, an attack range, and a attack cooldown. And again, even though I've set these to certain things, the inspector is different because I've changed it, and the inspector overrides this. So, but you get the idea. He's got those values for detection radius, attack range, and attack cooldown. And I'll show them to you in the editor anyway, so you can see. All right, so his detection radius is 10. If I'm 10 units or closer, he'll detect me. His attack range is 2. So if he gets within 2 units of me, he'll start attacking. Attack cooldown, which I'm not even using anymore, so this is going to go. Because the cooldown thing was just a way to kind of have him not attack for a second and, give you a chance to get him first or whatever. But I decided on the chance to hit instead because that way it looks more natural. You're both always attacking each other, but it doesn't mean you're always going to connect. So that is going to take out the attack cooldown. So we don't need that. All right. I'm not going to comment it around or anything because I don't want to go through all the code and take it out of everywhere it is. And but yeah, you don't need that. Don't worry about the attack cooldown. Then he's got the private audio source sound for playing the sounds, the private transform for the player. And I actually, when I started today working on this, the um, the goblins weren't dying, and I couldn't figure out why. No matter how bad I hit them, I could still cause them damage, but they weren't dying, and I didn't know why, and it was freaking me out. And you know what it was? I had commented out this invoke check for player because down here it used to be just if player um, was null, return. Okay, and then it didn't do anything else. But I had commented this out, so it wasn't checking for the player anymore. So it was always returning in the update because the player was always null to it. Um, so since that's commented out, what I did was I changed that if the player's null, keep searching for the player in this if statement. The player equals game object dot find game object with tag player because the player has the player tag on it, and then return once you get it because once you set it to that, it won't run this anymore, so you can just return out of it. Okay, so that's what I did there. Then it's got the if current health is greater than 0. All right, so while it's alive, it does everything in here. We've got a float for distance, which is distance from the enemy's transform to the player's position. And if distance is less than or equal to the detection radius, which I talked about, then it checks to see if distance is also less than or equal to the attack range. All right. Because if it is, we set an animation bool, anim.set bool, to moving equals false. I want them to stop moving and use an animation transition to stop moving uh, if moving equals false. And if moving equals false, because you're close enough, that means that attacking equals true. So I set another bool, anim.set bool slashing to true, and that way he goes to his attack animation. All right, and while we're at this point, why don't I go show you that? So we got him selected, go to the animator, and you'll see that I have some animations here. All right, and we've got idle, which is the default state he starts out at, run when he runs at you, slash when he's attacking, and hit for when you hit him. That's the one that does his hit animation. All right, and I've created the two bools here called slashing and moving. So he's idle until this transition because is moving equals true, which I just showed you in the code. We set that when he's close enough that moving's true. And then he starts running. And he's running until slashing equals true. So once you're close enough to attack, we set slashing true in the code, which I just showed you, and he goes to the slashing animation. All right, let's open this up, and I'll show you that event. All right, so he actually has two. This one is to play the attack sound, so it's like the sword swoosh, and I do that like right at the beginning when he starts attacking. And then this one is check for hit, and it's closer to the end. And this is where he'll inflict damage on the player if he hits. Because, like I said, right now he doesn't have that chance to hit. He'll hit every time, but he will have that chance to hit. We'll put it on him. So once I show it to you in the player, you can just put it on him because I'm gonna. But yeah, that's you can see it's almost at the end, the chance for hit. Because see, this is good because like you don't want to just check for a hit when you start the animation, because usually when you start a sword swinging animation, the sword is like up in the air, almost behind you, and you got to swing all the way down to where the sword's in front of you and would connect. And that's usually right towards the end of the animation. So that's why you want to do this through animation events, so it is more correct to the way it would be. So towards the end, he does a check for hit, which causes damage to the player. But if, again, if you can hit him and not miss before he gets to this point, it'll cancel out because we're going to have him automatically play the hit animation. All right. And once that's done playing, so as you notice, there's no transition to it. I set that off through code. I tell it, play this animation. Okay, I don't want to transition through that. I just want to play it automatically to cut off the damage. So once he plays this and is finished, because I left the exit time on it, if slashing is still true, in other words, I'm still close enough and alive, then it transitions back to slashing. All right. Now, slashing does have a transition back to run. I removed the exit time, so if he's attacking me and I run away, he's not going to keep his attack animation going because I took out the has exit time. He's just going to go back into running at me again because I ran away from him. And running has a transition with an exit time if it goes back to idle, and it will if slashing equals false and moving equals false. He'll just go back to an idle state. So, so that's all the transitions and how his setup looks. So if you put animations on your enemies, you can just name them like this if you're following along. Idle, run, slash, and hit, all lowercase. And you need the two bools, excuse me, slashing and moving. All right. And you get those by clicking this button here and choosing bool and naming it. So that's what's going on there. And like I said, we set that bool if he's in attack range to moving false and slashing true. So we manage those transitions correctly. And then since he's attacking, we make sure that he's looking at the player at all times because a lot of times it can change depending on where the player's moving around him and stuff. And so you always want him to look at the player before he attacks. So I take the transform.rotation, set it equal to quaternion.look rotation, and set that to a new vector 3, player position x minus transform.position x, so minus the goblin's transform, and then 0 on the y and player position z, and minus transform position z. So this makes him look at the player before he attacks. And then he'll just start attacking. So if the distance is less than attack range, that's what he does. He'll loop that attack animation and always look at you every time he does it. All right, but if it's not within attack range, but still within the detection radius, so this else right here, then we set the destination to the player again so that we can chase after him. And then we set the animation. Excuse me, my goodness. We set the animation bool moving back to true and slashing to false. So because he's just going to move and run after us. And that'll handle the transitions in the animator I showed you. And then we set agent.isStop to false because that's going to be set true down here. So if I'm within the detection radius, so within that 10 units, but if not, we go right to idle, even though there's a transition, I can go right to idle. And then we set agent is stopped, And as you can see, it says use this property to set or get whether the nav mesh agent stops or continues its movement along the current path. So we stop its movement along any path. Agent is stopped to true. And that's if we're away from the detection radius of 10. All right. And then this one, if current health is greater than 0, else, that's when we play the death animation down here. Now, that's all he needs to do here because the death animation comes from the code for all the stuff comes from the taking damage. All right. So in this public void take damage float amount that he had in the last one, I was showing you that when we were beating him silly. You know, if he takes damage, we play that hit animation that I told you. There's no transition. We just play it. That's right here. Anim.play hit. And then we change the sound that he makes for the pitch randomly, like we did before. Then we subtract the current health from the amount and play the sound that we just changed the pitch on. And then we update the health bar. But what's new is we're checking to see now in take damage if his current health is less than or equal to 0. Because if it is, he's dead. So then we get the component, the capsule collider, and enable it to false because we don't want to be able to click on him while he's dead. Okay. Because, I mean, if you could, then the player would just see him as a living enemy and make him the temp enemy and start attacking again, but he's already dead. So we just disable the capsule collider after death, and then we make him play the death animation anim.play death, and then we play a one-shot sound for death, so it's different than the grunts. Um, we play that sound, and then we invoke, which calls this function resurrect after 10 seconds. So we invoke resurrect after 10 seconds. And then we do the random dot value is less than or equal to the drop chance. Then it drops the health potion. It gets the drop offset, which is -1 or 1 around it on the X and the Z and 0 on the Y. And then the drop position it sets to the goblin's position plus the drop offset we just talked about. And then it instantiates the health potion prefab at the drop position. And we set its rotation right here. Quaternion.Euler -90, 0, 0. So that way it comes up standing up straight. All right. And then, yeah, so like I said, we play anim.play death, which now that I'm looking at it, he does that twice because right here we say play death too. So we really don't need this one. Let's try something. Let's comment that out. And we'll see if it makes a difference because technically once his health is down there, he should play that death right here. Or I could take it out of there, but it doesn't really matter. We'll try this. And then after we turn off the collider, we play the sound and invoke the resurrect and drop a potion if it's less than or equal to the drop chance. Okay, now the resurrect is this function right here. Okay, resurrection.play. Resurrection is a particle effect that I declared up top, right here. Public particle system resurrection. So we play that particle effect that's attached to the goblin. And then we set current health equal to max health because we resurrected him and now he's healthy. And then we play another one-shot sound for reviving. And then we automatically go to play run, so he can start running after you. But the transitions will set him to idle if you're far enough away after he resurrects. And then we get his component for the capsule collider and re-enable it so we can attack again. So that's the resurrect. So yeah, let's try it one more time with that. With only using this death and the other one commented out, and make sure that's still okay. Excuse me. All right. Close enough. Melee with him. See how he turned to look at me after he was behind me over here? Because of the code I showed you. See, and he plays the death, and so it's okay. It's a good thing we were checking that out. Let's go get this and heal up. Let's try it one more time. You're dead. Oh, and he dropped another one. I'll take it. He's alive again. So, I mean, of course, you don't want them resurrecting themselves. So, like I said, when we make another one and make it like a boss, a mage, or whatever that can resurrect him, all the mage has to do is get into this guy's code and run that function on him. You know, so that's that. See, it's a good thing I'm making these videos because I wouldn't have seen that I was running that twice. Nice. All right, so I believe that's all it's new. We got the play attack sound, which plays the one shot, which is an audio clip attached to him. Um, check for player. We really don't need this anymore. Let's get rid of it because that's what that invoke was, and we don't need it anymore. Boom, because we now check for the player here when we're checking to see if he's null or not. We'll just save that to make sure there's no errors. So yeah, we get the resurrect, the play attack sound. We got attack player, which really is just a debug.log in here. We don't even really need that anymore. Let's see. We got the take damage, which I just showed you. All the differences because we're now checking to see if we're dead, and we drop potions if we have the chance. And then the check for hit, again, that's just like the players was, and it uses the raycast the box cast all, but it's really tiny, like the player checks for him. Basically, I think I just copied this out of the player and put it on him, the whole thing. And all I did was change out, what it's looking for. So we don't need this debug.log anymore. We'll get rid of that. But yeah, so now the only thing I changed was we checked for the player tag instead of the enemy tag here. I switched that out. And then he's got the update health bar to visually update his own health. And yeah, that's the whole enemy AI script. We've got the usings and like I said, detection radius, attack range. This we don't need. Got the audio source to play sounds, the transform player, the nav mesh agent, the last attack time, which we don't need because that works with the cooldown. You got attack damage. Then we got audio clips for death, attack, revive. We got the animator. and then the particle system for resurrection, and the max health and current health. So if we look at the, make sure there's no errors from removing those lines here. Okay, so we're good. So if we look at the goblin, you'll see that, he's got his regular meshes, the Mixamo hips on him, and right here I dragged in the medical spark effect. And again, this effect was one of the ones I downloaded a pack of effects from the asset store. I can show you that real quick if it says which one it is here. Okay, so the 100 best effect pack is the one I think I got this out of. So so you can go to the asset store and grab that. And as you can see, it's a part. I had to tweak it a little bit, but it's a particle system. And like if you got it and put it on, it wouldn't be a particle system. There was something this was a child of that did a destruct script or something. So I had to unpack the prefab, take the particle effect parts out, get rid of the other parts, and then add the remaining parts to this part to make it its own particle effect thing. So I tweaked it, but that's how you do it. And also, before the goblins had the same sword with the glowing effect and stuff, and I took that out and I put it in an axe. I gave him an axe. Again, I got from the asset store. And it's right here. So it's just a stylized axe. So yeah, let's check out the player real quick and we'll see what's different with that. And I think I showed you the health potion pickup script, but let's see it again if I didn't. Um, you got a public float for the pickup range, which I set it to 3. It uses the transform player to check the distance, just like the enemy does. Then it's got an integer for the health amount that I showed you, at least in the inspector, I know. And then it's got a reference to the health bar controller, which houses the player's health. So that way it can increase your health. And it's called health bar, just like everything else. So the player we find the same way as the enemy. We through a tag, find with tag, player tag. Health bar, we find the canvas by name, and then get the component of the script, health bar controller. And then on mouse down, so when you click it, we use the distance to check the distance between the player and it. And then if the distance is less than the pickup range, we access this script by right here, health bar, use a function in that script called increase health, and we set it to 25. And then we destroy the game object, which is the potion on the ground. And then the player, let's see, for him, the new is the mischance. And this is what you can add to the enemy to have a mischance as well, because I didn't add it yet, but you can from seeing this one. So we get the same kind of slider, serialized field float that the potion had for the drop chance, or the enemy had for the drop chance, right here. Except we're using it as a mischance. So when you're attacking, if the chance is less than or equal to 0.4, then you'll miss. Otherwise, you'll hit. Now this I plan on using in conjunction with like the player attributes, which aren't coded yet, like strength, dexterity, and all that. So this, instead of just a chance, is probably going to go by dexterity, you know. So a lower dexterity would be a lower chance of hitting, whereas a higher dexterity would be a higher chance of hitting and not missing. Okay, then most of this is the same. Fire, no, sword, slash, fireballs, temp enemy, health bar, skull, clickable layers, layer mask. And actually, I don't know if I showed you that in the last one either. This was there, the layers you click on, but in the prefab, I think it's in the prefab. Maybe it's on the ground. Well, anyway, those are layers. You got the ground layer and the enemy layer. So you create a layer, and then that's what you're checking for is those layers. Um, yeah, so let's see. Player collider. Okay, so like I said, most of this is the same from the last one, so I'm trying to see what's different. So I guess really all that's different is yeah, I guess all that's really gonna be different is the checking for hit. Okay, right here, check for hit. So when we check for the hit, if the ray collides with the enemy, okay, then we check to see where is it? Okay, where did I put it? Let's see. Oh, I know what I did. Eh, in the very beginning of check for hit. This was in the last one when we were making the player stuff here. This is new. If random value less than or equal to mischance, which is what I showed you up top here. Okay, so mischance, and the random value would be a range between 0 and 1, and it's called mischance. So if, this is new, if random value between 0 and 1, I just showed you, is less than or equal to the mischance, which I believe is 0.4. But again, I might have said it differently on the slider. Then return. So it does not do any of this hit check stuff. And then else all this. So before, it was just, in the last one, it was just what was in this else statement. That's all it was doing. Okay, but there was no else statement. It was just doing this stuff. Now I add this if to check for the mischance, and then an else, and put it all in there. So that's what's different. So I believe that's it. This is kind of a nice short one, especially for getting the goblin attacking and dying and resurrecting. I believe that's all I need to show you. That's different. So I've showed you the health potion. Uh, I've showed you all of his code for coming and trying to get me. I've showed you increasing the player's health from taking the potion. Did I get a potion? No. I can take that for not dropping a potion. There you go. See, now we did. So I showed you clicking on it, the code for that. Really? Boom, you're dead again. No potion. And again, like that purple is working in the editor, but that doesn't mean it always will be. The next video it might not be. But right now it is. In the last one it was like a sick looking Pepto-Bismol pink color in the editor. But it was okay in the build. So it was an editor bug. So let's kill him with a firewall. Boom! You're dead. And you'll drop the potion. Okay, so that's combat 1.1. And that's the enemy now fighting back, chasing you down, doing his thing. Yeah, take that. So, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this series is earning your subscription, because I really need it if you haven't looked at the numbers. And when you subscribe, hit that bell notification so you get notified right when the next part of this series drops. And since he's trying to kill me, actually, let's get far enough away. There we go. We'll do the Nova, because that's more stable. There. So yeah, so hit that bell notification after you subscribe so you get notified as soon as the next part drops. And you can keep going with this. And yeah, until then, boom, peace out.